Hey, I'm JR from EBMX. You've slapped on an X9000 onto your ERide Pro. This is a how-to video, how to set it up in the app. So first step, pretty basic. What you want to do is turn on your bike. Then what you want to do is make sure you've went to the App Store, whether it's the Apple or the Google Play Store, and download the latest version of the app. When you've turned on the bike and you've opened up the app, the first thing you'll see is a bike will come up here. This bike was previously set up. This is just a demo, but this will normally have no name. I'll show you how to do that right away. So basically, jump into the app. If you come over to settings, you'll see over here, you can click edit on this section here and you can actually change the name. So if you have multiple bikes, you can actually connect to it and basically see that, yes, this is ERide, or this is Suron, this is a Light B, this is an Ultra B, etc. So that's basically how you do that naming convention. Next step, what you want to do is you always want to make sure your controller is up to date. So the app and the firmware both go together. So as we update firmware and we add different features like e-clutch, etc., to these controllers, basically the app generally goes with that. So normally when we release an app update, there's also a firmware update to go with it. So what you want to do is click on firmware. In this case, it says up to date. So I know this firmware is current. I've updated this bike previously, but that'll be the first step. Generally what you do is you just select the file that's available here. You make sure the phone is close to the bike. I normally leave my phone on the foot peg so it's close to the Bluetooth dongle. That'll update the bike and then you're good to go. The next step will basically be general settings. So we've made this super simple for the ERide. Realistically, you can just do the general page setup, but we will go through the whole lot. So you see you've got bike type here. So basically what you want to change this to is you want to change it to ERide Pro. Then your motor, obviously you've got an ERide Pro. You will see ERide Pro motor. So click on ERide Pro motor, and then moving down, you'll see battery series. This is a 72 volt battery. So you want to make sure that you've obviously got 72 volt battery selected. And then down here, what we've done is made a stock configuration for the ERide battery. So due to the fact you're running the super connectors and it is a stock battery, there's certain limits in place. So when you click on this basically limits the controller to the correct values that this battery can actually handle. So looking here, you'll see ERide stock battery. You want to click on this one here. So the next thing is your wheel diameter. Basically you want to measure from the bottom to the top, convert that into millimeters if you're in America, but obviously for us in Australia, that'll be millimeters here. So this wheel measures 650 mil and it's about the top of the tire to the bottom of the tire is the measurement you're after there. You're not worried about, is it a 17-inch rim? Because all the wheels or all the tires have a different profile. So it matters what that top and bottom final is. So put that in there as millimeters, and then my gear ratio. So I've moved to a 58 tooth sprocket on this bike here. So my gear ratio is 919, which is preset. Once again, we're in Australia, so temperature units, we're gonna go with Celsius, and we're gonna go with obviously kilometers per hour. So what you wanna do is click save. It will say save successful, and then it asks you to calibrate the motor. What's gonna happen here is the wheel's gonna spin. You need to make sure that there's no load on this motor when this does happen. It's just the wheel physically moving, so you're gonna need a bike stand. You can kind of roll it back onto the kickstand, but I would recommend a stand. It's just a safer and easier way to do it. So click yes, it'll say start. Basically this thing will shock around. This normally takes about 30 seconds to a minute. If you have a whole sensor calibration, it's normally 5-10 seconds. So encoders measure a lot more positions in the motor, so it is a longer calibration essentially. Cool, once that's done, it says successfully calibrated. What you can do now is just quickly check your motor direction before you go on to the next step. So basically, I'm gonna click up into mode 1 here. I'm just gonna check which way my wheel rotates. You can see here that my wheel is actually rotating backwards. So to change that, if you jump in the app, you'll see that it says motor direction clockwise. So click on this one, anti-clockwise save, and then we can check that motor direction again. So all looking pretty good there. Once you've done that, for me, the next step that I would go down is basically controller calibrations. I would just make sure that everything is basically calibrated correctly. So in this case, I've already done these calibrations, but I will show you how to do them now. So twist throttle calibration. So that is physically this one that you twist. There's also thumb throttle calibration, which is the thumb throttle here. That can also be used as an e-clutch, or you don't have to run this at all. So if you don't want any regen brake on the bike, you can disconnect it, but you will have to turn it off, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So click setup for twist throttle. It says start the wizard. Basically the controller gets into a setup process, getting ready to do this calibration. The first step is release throttle. So you kind of get 2 steps where you basically don't touch the throttle, you just leave it to go. Once that's done, it says press throttle. That basically means twist. So in this case, you just hold it. Once it's finished, and I can see my values are correct there. So I've got 0.88 volts with no one touching the throttle and a maximum voltage of 4.22. So that's definitely correct. So I'll click save on that one. Now we're going to go across and do the thumb throttle here. So it says thumb throttle calibration, same process again. Click on this one. basically gets the controller ready for the setup process, and then the next step is just to release it or leave it alone. And when it says press throttle, basically you just want to hold it down until it finishes the calibration. So it says press throttle now, click on that one, just hold it. Once again, pretty similar readings, 0.88 volt and 4.28. So yep, that looks pretty good to me. So click save again. So the next step here is to basically just run down and look at your field weakening. So if you were running stock ERide battery selected in the general settings, for the maximum power, you want to run the field weakening at 100%, and that is the maximum that this battery with the power settings we're about to put in can take. So you click save here. The other one is low power reduction. How that operates, leave it at 0% or up it if you want to. What it does is as the bike sees as the controller sees the voltage coming down, it'll start to reduce the maximum power, and this essentially means that you'll get 100% use out of the battery. Previously what we used to do is when the controller hit the low voltage cutoff, it'll just literally turn the bike off. So what we've done this time, we actually limit the power so you don't actually get a cutoff. So what that means, if you're trying to do a jump, etc., the bike's never going to cut off when you're in mid-air, it's never going to cut off on you when you're up a jump, etc. It just alleviates those cutoffs, but what you will notice is while you're riding and you're very low on the charge, say 20%, 30%, you'll notice that you just don't have quite the same power available, and it's the controller physically bringing this power back just to make sure that you know that you're getting low on charge and it's probably time to get home. So depending where you set this, it'll basically change how soon that comes in. 0% I think is correct for most applications, but if you want to bring that on sooner so you can get maximum range, then I would definitely raise this value up. But there's no set limit where you need to be, it just depends what your application is. So click save there. Coming out of this, throttle, we've done a whole video on throttle and what you can do with the throttle. So jump on the EBMX YouTube, we kind of run through how that all works. These are my personal settings, so I always have ramping time at 10 to 20 milliseconds. I never touch the input deadband. I generally leave that at 3 or 4%. Same with the negative ramping time, I always leave that at 10%. Expo, always 0.5 for me. That's what feels natural for me. I like a very stabby bike. I'm very slow and I suppose calculating on how I move my throttle hand. Some people are really aggressive and no feel on there. So like what they will do is they'll essentially make the throttle really doughy so they can be really inaccurate with that throttle position. So it depends what you're trying to do. It might be if you're just trying to do wheel stands, you want to move everything down and make it a lot calmer, then bringing the expo down would definitely help, and bringing up the ramping time would definitely help. Next up, modes and levels. This is set out of the box. As soon as you hit that battery setting, this will basically bring you into this here. So once again, you got mode 1, 10 kilowatt, mode 2 is 12 kilowatt, and mode 3 is 15 kilowatt. So this is the maximum power that your motor will see. Down from here, we also have what's called motor phase current or motor current. That is essentially your bottom end torque. So phase amps don't continue to the very top RPM, they're only at the lower RPM. So this kind of just matters for that initial starting torque. So the higher you have this, the more torque you'll have off the line. But if you want to bring things down or make things feel like a little bit smoother or a little bit doughier, then lower those ratings. So for me, mode 1, 400, mode 2, 500, and mode 3, 600. And that's pretty much tops that this battery will do, and basically what this motor will do as well, for what's basically fitted on the bike. So I'm just going to do some quick changes here, because I'm going to make this a little bit doughier for me. So I'm going to go 300 for mode 1 on my phase amp, so I'm not going to touch the kilowatts. I'm going to go 400 for mode 2. I'm going to go 550 for mode 3. So I'm going to click save here. Come over to thumb throttle. What you want to do is leave this set value at 20% or 25%. This motor has quite a lot of braking power behind it, but the thing to remember is this battery can only take in so much current as well. So I recommend leaving it at 20 or 25% in this application. So click save. Moving over to street, this is just another setup or another level that you can basically set up the controller. So if you want to give this to a friend, you want to give it to someone who's inexperienced of like electrical powertrains, then you'd basically give them this here and say, hey, here's a low power mode. You know that it's not going to whiskey throttle on them. It's going to be a lot more controllable. So basically that's another setting that you have there. You also can limit the speed limit as well. So if you come over to speed limits, you can make it so it can only go up to a certain amount of speed. So other ways this can be useful for enduro riding, lowering the speed limit, but having the phase amps high, but we'll talk about that in another video. Pretty much though, that concludes the setup for the X9000 on the ERide Pro. Appreciate you watching. Any questions, please reach out. We have a support email, support@ebmx.com if you need any help or assistance. Thank you.